Peace, family. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you. Thank you for joining me on Karen's World. Listen, today is Juneteenth, and I really couldn't think of a better time to come in to do this recording. So, for those of you who are not familiar with Juneteenth is an American holiday. It's a holiday that celebrates the emancipation of slavery in America. Now, it gets a little confusing because we are celebrating 1865, right? Which was the day of freedom. However, Abraham Lincoln had signed the Emancipation of Proclamation in 1863, but 2 years later, that's when all the slaves found out that they were free. And there was a big celebration. And I believe Galveston, Texas, is the area that held on to the tradition. And in the recent years or decades, it kind of caught on throughout the African American community throughout America. And so Juneteenth is also known as Freedom Day. Regardless to what you think of this holiday, if you think it's warranted for it to be a federal holiday or not, that's the theme today. Okay. We are celebrating Juneteenth. And so, Juneteenth, the celebration of freedom, it just really takes me into my own value system of freedom and what freedom looks like for me. Many of you know that I lived in Nairobi, Kenya for 2 years. In 2020, I packed my bags, I left America, and I moved to Africa. Now, moving to Africa has always been something that I wanted to do. And let me backtrack a little bit. I'm not going to say moving there is something I've always wanted to do. Definitely visiting and connecting with Africa, because as an African American, we all know that we're pretty much born into trauma. It's traumatic not knowing where you come from. It's traumatic not knowing your village. It's traumatic living in an environment where you know it's really not home, but it has to be your home. And then when you go back to your home, they really don't know you there. And so that's just some things that, as African Americans, I feel that we all could benefit in working out within ourselves. For me, moving to Africa, it allows me to live in freedom at a whole different level. It's it has given me a greater appreciation for my ancestors, those slaves who were so resilient in America. Because the fact that I'm still here and that I'm breathing, and then I have a generational line even after me, it says that we made it. We made it in a country that was so violent towards us. And so that freedom, oh wow, I just see it at a whole different level. Freedom to me 3 years ago was, I'm going to Africa. I'm going to be with my people. I'm going to go back to the motherland because that's what my ancestors wanted me to do. And so I had that experience. But what happened for me is I got connected to the motherland. I got connected, and I've experienced living in an environment where I'm the majority. I've met beautiful people. I learned my heritage a little bit more. I understand a little bit about the tribal systems and how we all may be Black as a race, but we are very different as it relates to ethnicity. I learned those things. I even learned that African Americans are we are a tribe of our own, whether we realize it or not. We are. And living in Africa for 2 years, I don't care how amazing my experience was, it reminds me of how blessed and honored I am to be an African American. Listen, There was a time that I wanted to drop that American piece because of my hurt, because of the pain, and because of the suffering of my ancestors. I'm healed. I no longer have that pain like I once did. That pain has turned into my power. And when you turn your pain into your power, you realize that you have access to way more than what you thought that you've had. Listen, our ancestors, those who even fought in the civil rights movement, those who even overcame Jim Crow laws and segregation and all of those things, right? I honor them in the life that I live now because I know who I am. I took the necessary steps to understand that my maternal line goes back to Yoruba in Nigeria, the Fulani and the Yoruba people in Nigeria. I took the necessary steps to know that my paternal line goes back to Gabon, the Makina people in Gabon. And I also took the steps to get the full picture of my bloodline. I understand that 9% of France is also in me. The 1% Spain is in me. The 1% Ireland is in me. And so when you're healed, you can see that you have access to the world. See, I have a birthright. It is my birthright to obtain the wealth of the French. It is my birthright to obtain the wealth of the Yoruba people. It is my birthright to obtain the wealth of those in Gabon. And by the way, Gabon is also a Francophone country who was once colonized by the French. So, being in Africa for 2 years and filling in the gaps, filling in those holes, it gave me a clear picture of who I am. And it also gave me a clearer picture of all my power. The world is mine. I have the freedom to travel the world. I can live wherever my ancestors want me to, whether it's on the continent of Africa, whether it's in Asia or Egypt, wherever I desire. I have a right. It is my birthright to live anywhere I want to in this world. So, my ancestors are proud because everything that they have gone through, they have given me access to even more. And I stand willing with my hands outstretched, ready to receive everything that belongs to me. That is freedom. Now, I could not have gotten to this point without going back to Africa, without going back to my homeland and connecting. Africa is no longer a mystery to me. I can't wait to go to Ghana and Senegal and Gabon and Nigeria, Sierra Leone, back to South Africa, Cameroon, Liberia, back to Kenya, Tanzania, Egypt, Rwanda, Burundi, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Namibia. I cannot wait because it's no longer a mystery. That's my home. Africa is the land of my ancestors. However, because of what they've gone through, I now have access to the world. I love you guys. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you. And happy Juneteenth. Let's remember, we're free. We are free. Peace. Bye.